Hello, Jo.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on Free Your Parenting. First of all, can I ask you how old your children are and how many you've got?
Yeah, I have three children. My son is 12, going on 27, I think. And my eldest daughter is 10. And then I have a little one who's just about to turn 6 on Halloween.
Ah, okay. So, what I wanted to ask you first of all, really, is if you could tell me something, who or what has inspired you the most in your parenting and why?
I should say outside of family, because they've been incredibly supportive since I had my children.
Mm,
Um, I found the Stephen Biddulph books to be very useful. Um, you know, uh, Raising Your Sons.
yeah.
If you've read those, they're very, very good books. And generally, for me, the most inspiring thing is any woman who is managing to juggle work, family, hobbies, and family, anything where they find time to do something for themselves as well as raising children is a huge inspiration.
And do you take bits from what you see them doing and as a sort of way of
I
helping you
do,
parent?
absolutely, because the only way you can really learn, apart from following your own instincts, is to take advice and inspiration from other people. Um, and there are lots of celebrities actually who are doing a fantastic job of raising their children, and dealing with the pressures that they have to go through. Who
Mm,
can be, great to look at. If you look at Victoria Beckham, for example, I know
yeah.
people have their own opinions of her, but you have to admit she's doing a fantastic job raising her
Mm.
children.
There's very particular pressures in being in the public eye, isn't there?
Absolutely. And, she's roughly the same sort of age as me, although that's where any similarities then end. Um, but, and they seem to be great kids. And, yeah, you have to admire what they're doing.
Mm. Um, so the next thing I want to ask is there something in your life as a parent that you found particularly challenging and how did you deal with that at the time?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think the hardest thing is that every time you get a grip on one aspect, then they change.
Yeah, I know that one.
Another challenge. So I think the hardest thing for me was probably going from having just my son to then having a second child and
Mm,
not really understanding how much harder two children could be than having one.
mm,
um, and making sure that you're balancing the needs of your older child, who suddenly seems so much older when you see them next to this tiny
mm,
baby. And even though he was only 2, he just seemed so big. And I had to keep reminding myself that he was still very, very little, and still needed his mum and not to
mm,
try and devote my attention to the new baby.
mm,
We managed that through help from grandparents, friends, making time to have somebody look after my daughter while we could take my son out and do things with him and still make him understand that he was special.
mm. Did you ever find any times when what you thought was the right thing conflicted with what other people who are close to you thought was the right thing?
Absolutely, we homeschooled for the
Oh,
first
really?
years. Yep, and that was very difficult. Lots of people could not understand what we were doing. Then we packed our bags and we moved to Fiji for a few years, and that also people thought we were crazy. Um, but you do have to follow your own instincts as
Mm,
a parent, I think, and be kind to yourself. Let yourself make mistakes. It's okay. Yeah.
mm. How did you manage the sort of conflict? How did you cope with people knowing people that were disagreeing with you?
Um, it can be hard, and especially if you've had several sleepless nights or long days, things can feel much more emotional, and you can be a lot more hurt by things that people say than you might be normally. Um, but at the end of the day, my husband and I always talk things through, we support each other, and as long as we're in agreement on what we're doing, then we manage to not let other people upset us too much. and hope that
Mm.
we'll prove that we're doing the right thing in the end.
Mm. It's difficult, isn't it, when you make different choices?
It's very difficult. Our children go to a Steiner school now, and again, lots of people are not really sure what that is, think it's a bit weird, a little bit odd. And so we've had to, again, spend a lot of time explaining to people why we've made that decision.
Mm.
But in the end, it's our choice, and our
Mm.
children are happy, and that's all we need to care about, really.
Do you find it easier to make different choices now that they're older, as you've got more experience and more trust in your, that you have made the right decisions in the past? Is it?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially now I've got three children, it's just a lot easier to feel confident about what I'm doing. With my
Mm.
son, I think I took a lot more advice and read a lot more books and trawled the internet trying to find out things. Then I realized that he hadn't actually read any of the books as a child and stuff, so didn't know what the rules were. So then I sort of just gave up a bit and just decided to go on my own gut instinct a bit more.
Mm. Okay, so if is there anything in your children's life when they were younger that seemed really, really big and really important to you at the time, which when you look back now, you realise it wasn't a big deal at all and shouldn't have lost so much sleep over?
Yes. My son had a dummy when he was younger, which I really hated. I didn't really want him to have one. And in the end, I realized it was completely because I just thought it didn't look very nice, or it was frustrating because he kept dropping it, and it was completely all about it being inconvenient to me. And I learned very quickly that that's just ridiculous, and it clearly was something he felt he needed,
Mm.
and I wish I hadn't got so bothered about that.
Mm.
And also, I think sleepless nights, or them wanting to come into bed with us at night. It lasts for such a short time.
Mm.
With my third child, I was a lot more relaxed, and she spent far more time curled up with us. But with my son, to follow the books, you have to put them in bed, and you have to do this, and this is the routine. And in the end, it just doesn't really matter. They're little for such a short time that if they want
Mm.
to curl up in bed with you, I guarantee they will not still be doing that by the time they're 9 or 10. They will grow out of it. So
Yeah, yeah.
just enjoy some of those little things.
Yeah, and they're both quite contentious issues, aren't they? Particularly the dummy thing raises a
Yes.
lot of strong feelings, and it's great to hear you saying, just you can just let it go and it'll sort itself out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he doesn't
Yeah.
have one now.
So, have you got one useful tip that you would pass on to parents who are right in the thick of looking after young children at the moment, or about to step into having young children?
Oh, one of the best pieces of advice that anyone gave me was to be kind to yourself and not
Mm.
give yourself a hard time. And also that the children haven't read any of the books. So you can read as many parenting books as you like, and there is some brilliant advice out there, but your child is not aware of that. And so you have to tailor everything to your
Mm.
life, your needs, your routine, and make it work for you.
Mm. Oh, brilliant. Thank you very, very much, Jo.